Hi, my name is JJ. I'm the General Manager for Interop. I'm here at our hot stage facility where we're getting ready for our InteropNet in Vegas in a couple of weeks. Right now I'm being joined by Ed Gastle from JDSU. He's one of the engineers on the InteropNet engineering team. So Ed, can you tell me a little bit about what your role is today during hot stage and what your role will be on site?
Yes, so JDSU does the test and measurement for InteropNet, so we do a lot of things to do with the physical media, so make sure the fiber backbone's working, make sure the copper's working, we make sure that the wide area network links work, pretty much anything to do with testing the network, and really focus on making sure that everything is good before we actually put traffic on it, put the people on the network, so that helps really ensure that the network is solid and works very well. So we've spent a lot of time here this week really focusing on the fiber backbone because it's 10 gig to everywhere and there's a lot of connections, and so it's really important to make sure all the fibers are good, they're in good shape, they're clean, so we inspect them all before we connect them up, and then we test and make sure that the loss is good before we actually connect the routers and switches to the network. And that way we're very, very confident that the routers and switches will be able to talk to each other and work. So
Never thought about clean fiber before.
Yes, well, it's amazing how much crap you see on the end of a fiber. So we had issues last year with 10 gig links, and they didn't work, or they actually came up and worked but then had errors, and we went through and found some fiber that was really dirty, and we got back about 8 dB and then retested and everything was working fine. So it's a very simple thing, but it's critical, especially with the higher speeds. So last year was the first year with 10 gig, and we really found a lot of things then that we're applying this year that's helping out a lot.
So obviously you were involved last year. Was that your first time last year?
That was JDSU's first time, yes.
Okay, and what has changed from year to year? Or what's exciting about this year?
Maybe challenging would be the word that I would use.
Okay, that's fine.
So last year with the two shows, there were different challenges with each. So the first one was our first time involvement, so we really didn't know what we were getting into, frankly. And so we found out about the 10 gig and all the fiber cassettes on the show floor. And so we really kind of at the hot stage, the first hot stage last year, we were scrambling a little bit to make sure we had all the right gear and equipment and stuff that we needed. In New York last year, it was 10 gig backbone electrically, so then we had to certify all those copper cables to make sure they could carry 10 gig. And then this year, I think that the big challenge for us is that 10 gig is now going in the off-show floor, which goes through a lot of the hotel's house fiber, and we can't check it here. So we have to get in early into Las Vegas, and we have to go through all that in-house fiber and make sure it's in good shape. Otherwise, our off-show floor 10 gig connections will not work.
Okay, yeah, that's a total nail biter.
Yes, yeah. And last year we also had some challenges that I don't think we'll see this year. Some of our wide area networking links into Las Vegas, the 1 gig links, they weren't working properly, so we tested them, but that's the reason we test. So we found out before we put any traffic on it that they weren't working, and then we were able to fix the problem and then put the traffic on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me see. What would be the best case scenario going into Interop in terms of what's happened at hot stage, and what would make you feel the most comfortable?
So a really good quick deployment, so that we get there, we get there early enough so that we can do testing. We've spent a lot of time this week making sure that our show floor is good. So the best case scenario is that we roll the racks out, we connect them up, we inspect everything again before we connect it up, because there's a few that have to be disconnected, and that everything just comes up and works. Okay, so that for us, that's the best case scenario. Then there's always the deploying of the show floor network, which is a lot of work with testing the copper drops and making sure that everybody gets an IP address and we can ping to the outside world and throughput testing and so on. So my kind of best case is that we bring the whole network up, it comes up really easily and fast, and it stays solid.
Okay. Well, I have my fingers crossed for you.
Yes.
And for
yes.
me, being the general manager of the
exactly.
show.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. No, but that's what we do, is make sure that everything's good and solid before we put anything on it, and then it just helps really ensure that you're not going to have problems with the network.
Great. Well, thank you. We very much appreciate your support
Thank
this
you.
year.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.